On paper, the name looked clean. Lloyd's certified layup, decades of heritage, a brass plaque on the companionway that said, "Built in Britain." Three of the biggest names in British boat building lost a combined £300 million in recent years, not during a recession, during a period of strong global yacht sales. The money did not vanish. It landed on the owners who trusted those names when they signed. It landed as hulls laminated by workforces cut by a quarter overnight. Warranty claims went to companies that no longer exist in the form they took when the keel was poured. Resale values cratered the week the brand hit the financial press. Today, 7 British boats ranked from "keep an eye on it" to "catastrophic." Every entry carries a named builder, a specific pound figure, and a documented source. If you own one of these, or you are looking at one on a brokerage listing right now, drop it in the comments. Subscribe to Yachts and Boats for the marine industry intelligence your broker will never volunteer. Number 7. The Moody Hanse era. The name survived. The boatyard did not. A.H. Moody and Son built sailboats in Plymouth for decades. Marine Projects handled the hulls. Bill Dixon drew the lines. The Moody Owners Association still maintains original wiring diagrams and construction notes for every model from the 1970s through the 1990s. Then, in the early 2000s, the German group Hanse acquired the Moody name. The Plymouth facility closed. The workforce scattered. The designs changed entirely. A Moody built after 2007 shares nothing with a Moody built before it except 5 letters on the transom. The Sailing Anarchy Forum has tracked persistent claims that laminate thickness dropped and interior joinery shifted to production line standards under Hanse ownership. The Moody Owners Association does not recognize the Hanse-era boats in its technical library. If you are buying a Moody, the year of build matters more than the model number. The Sailing Anarchy Forum thread on Moody build quality drew responses from owners who had inspected both eras. One poster noted that while a 1990s Moody 38 used teak joinery and a Lloyd's certified layup overseen by Marine Projects craftsmen, the Hanse-era Moody 54DS had what he called production line cabinetry and visibly thinner laminate in the engineering spaces. A used Moody 376 from 1992 sells for £20,000 to £30,000 and delivers 30 years of proven seakeeping. A Hanse-era Moody 45 sells for £300,000 and delivers a German hull with a British badge. The reputation you are paying for expired when the Plymouth production line shut down. Number 6. The Westerly, any bilge keel model. Westerly Marine closed its doors in the year 2000. 26 years later, thousands of Westerlies still sit on UK moorings from the Solent to the Clyde. The Westerly Owners Association keeps them alive with crowdsourced repair guides and shared technical data. But every year, the pool of specialists shrinks, the cost of osmosis treatment rises, and UK marine insurers tighten their survey requirements. The documented defects read like a checklist. Osmotic blistering on hulls built in the early 1980s runs £4,000 to £5,000 for professional treatment, according to YBW Forum owner reports. Many boats had treatments that were done incorrectly, leaving moisture trapped beneath the gel coat where it continued to delaminate the layup from inside. The Westerly Smile, a hairline crack at the leading edge of the bilge keel joint, appears on boats that spent years on tidal moorings. The Westerly Droop is foam-backed vinyl headlining degrading into sticky orange dust and sagging from the deckhead. Replacing it is a full weekend of labor for a competent owner or a 4-figure bill at a yard. The boat is not the problem. The boat was built to a standard that has aged. The problem is the orphan economics. Westerly built over 2,500 Centaurs between 1969 and 1980. Nearly 450 Fulmars followed between 1980 and 1992. These boats were the ordinary man's route to sailing. A Centaur sold for under £10,000 on the second-hand market as recently as 2020. UK boat surveys reported in January 2026 that many UK marine insurers now require a recent survey and evidence that all recommendations have been addressed before issuing cover. Electrical defects are now one of the most common causes of survey conditions and insurance refusal. The man who bought his Westerly for £8,000 and sailed it for a decade on £700 a year in mooring fees now faces a surveyor's invoice of £500, an osmosis treatment quote of £4,000, and an insurance company that will not renew his policy until both are resolved. Your annual survey costs more than the boat is worth, and the insurer still will not cover you without it. The pattern is not accidental. Number 5. The Moody 346 bilge keel. The 346 earned its reputation as a capable family cruiser, and the Bill Dixon hull deserves it. But the bilge keel variant carries a documented structural concern that has appeared across multiple survey reports and YBW forum owner threads since 2011. Surveyors have found hairline cracks, 1 to 2 inches long, running from the corners of the keel recesses. One owner reported visible keel joint movement during the lift, with water squeezing from the joint as the boat's weight settled onto the keels. Repair estimates for dropping the keels, grinding out the cracks, and remaking the joint run £3,000 to £4,000. Moody used high-tensile steel studs for keel fastenings instead of stainless steel. Marine projects chose mild steel because crevice corrosion in stainless was poorly understood at the time. The trade-off is that the studs rust when exposed to wet bilges, and the corrosion alarms younger surveyors who have never worked with these fastenings before. The Moody Owners Information Exchange confirms that the threads beneath the rust are almost always sound, but the surveyor's alarm becomes the insurance company's condition, and the condition becomes a 4-figure invoice the seller never mentioned. One YBW forum member reported that his surveyor called the keel cracks normal wear and tear. A second member, who bought the same model, found identical cracks and was quoted £3,000 by a local yard. A third reported that he lived with the cracks for 4 years after grinding them out, and they never returned. The boat itself is not failing. The intersection of age, insurance requirements, and inconsistent survey interpretation is what creates the regret. You buy a sound hull and inherit a maintenance argument that no two professionals agree on. Number 4. The Princess, built between 2022 and 2024. Princess Yachts posted a £69 million pre-tax loss in 2022, according to filings with Companies House. In December 2024, the company announced 250 redundancies at its Plymouth shipyard. By November 2025, another 40 management positions were flagged. KPS Capital Partners, the American private equity firm that owns Princess, injected approximately £54 million to stabilize operations. Revenue recovered to £378 million in 2024, and the company posted a small profit of £4.9 million. But the boats sitting on brokerage listings right now were physically assembled during the worst financial period in the company's modern history. The hull number does not carry a footnote. The brokerage listing does not disclose that the lamination happened during a year when the builder was hemorrhaging 7 figures a month. Unite the Union reported that nearly 1,200 Princess workers voted in favor of industrial action in August 2025, months after 250 of their colleagues had been made redundant. Princess employs approximately 2,700 people in Plymouth. Unite Regional Officer Mark Richards told media he feared the company might eventually leave the city if market conditions did not improve, according to Powerboat News in January 2026. A departure would devastate the local economy and leave every Princess owner within the servicing radius of that facility holding an asset with a shrinking support network. A Princess built in 2024 is not the same asset as a Princess built in 2018. The math is not subtle. Number 3. The Sunseeker. Sunseeker International builds approximately 150 boats a year from its facility in Poole, Dorset. More than half of those boats go to the United States through a single distributor, One Water Marine. One Water Marine reported declining yacht sales throughout 2025, according to Powerboat News. Then came the tariffs. The Trump administration imposed levies on imported yachts under 30 meters. Former Sunseeker CEO Andrea Frabetti announced 200 redundancies in June 2025 and directly blamed American trade policy. By November 2025, Sunseeker secured emergency capital from specialist lenders, Cheney Capital, and Cross Ocean Partners. The company's CEO had departed. 100 production workers had been temporarily laid off before Christmas 2024. Compulsory redundancies were eventually reduced to 50 after restructuring created 44 new roles. But the fundamental problem remains. Half of Sunseeker's production is aimed at a market that now charges a premium to import it. If OneWater's United States sales continue to decline, the owner of a used Sunseeker is holding an asset whose brand is tethered to an export market that has turned hostile. Sunseeker's founder, Robert Braithwaite, led a £44 million management buyout in 2006, backed by Bank of Scotland. 2 years later, the 2008 financial crisis nearly destroyed the company. China's Wonder Group bought Sunseeker and held it until November 2024, when Italy's Orienta Capital Partners and America's Lionheart Capital took over. This is the second time in 15 years that Sunseeker has required a financial rescue. The only monopoly they can enforce is the one you accept. That is the midpoint. 5 builders down, 2 to go. The next 2 entries carry the heaviest documented evidence on this list. If you are finding value in this, hit the like button. It costs you nothing, and it tells the algorithm that marine industry forensics belong in more feeds. Number 2. The Oyster pre-Hadida era. On July 4, 2015, the Oyster 825 Polina Star 3 was sailing off the coast of Spain in 18 knots of wind and 4-foot seas. The captain reported a strong noise with vibration from the hull. Flooding hit the engine room within seconds. 6 minutes later, the keel detached from the hull. The £5 million yacht capsized and sank in 40 meters of water, 4 miles off the Costa Blanca. 5 crew launched life rafts. All survived. The investigation that followed found no evidence of collision, no keel bolt failure. The keel bolts were intact. 20 square meters of hull laminate had torn away from the hull structure in the area of the keel. Oyster confirmed that the 825 hull construction used a process that had never been applied to any other Oyster yacht built over the previous 40 years. They tried a new lamination method on a £5 million boat, and it failed at sea. Oyster replaced the keel grid structures in the 3 remaining 825s and reverted to its original manufacturing process. The costs of the incident pushed the company into receivership in February 2018. 380 employees lost their jobs across Norfolk, Southampton, and Wroxham. Richard Hadida, the founder of Evolution Gaming, bought Oyster out of administration and returned it to profitability by January 2024. The company now molds all hulls in-house and brings in a Lloyd's Register inspector during the build process. Oyster's founder, Richard Matthews, sold the company in 2008 for £70 million. 4 years later, Dutch investment fund HTP acquired it for $12 million. By the time HTP pulled funding in 2018, Oyster's 42-year reputation had been reduced to a receivership notice and a keel sitting on the Mediterranean seabed. The new Oyster is a different company, but a pre-2018 Oyster 825 is a boat whose keel attachment was built using a process its own manufacturer admitted was flawed, on a vessel whose entire construction method has since been abandoned. The ledger does not lie. Number 1. The Fairline, Hanover era, 2021 through 2024. Jack Newington founded Fairline in 1963. For decades, the name meant something specific on the British marine market, well-built motorboats from the Oundle Yard in Northamptonshire. Since 2011, Fairline has gone through 6 ownership changes or bankruptcies. 6. In June 2021, Hanover Active Equity Fund acquired the company. Over the next 3 years, Hanover burned through £65 million. Revenue fell from £48.8 million in 2022 to £42.1 million in 2023. The company posted a £27.5 million loss in 2023 alone, according to Companies House filings. In December 2024, Arrowbolt Propulsion Systems acquired Fairline. A 23-year-old named Ayaiz Ahmed led the deal. Within 2 weeks, over 100 employees, a quarter of the workforce, were made redundant. 6 weeks after that, the company's primary lender, DF Capital, initiated insolvency proceedings. Fairline entered administration in January 2025. For the 6th time, Bronzewood Capital acquired the remains in March 2025. David Buckler, the new owner, pledged to retain employees and continue production. That pledge is the 3rd such pledge in 4 years. Every Fairline built between 2021 and 2024 was assembled during a documented £65 million loss spiral by a workforce that was being restructured, cut, and restructured again. The buyer who paid £600,000 for a Fairline Targa in 2023 did not buy a boat with a 60-year heritage. He bought the output of a private equity extraction cycle on its 5th owner and counting. The warranty claim has no one to answer it. Meanwhile, the resale listing sits beside the Powerboat News headline that says 3 British builders lost £300 million combined. The name on the transom is the same. The company behind it is a legal fiction on its 3rd identity since the deposit cleared. This is the mechanism. A private equity fund buys a boatyard for the brand. It runs the balance sheet until the cash is gone. It sells or bankrupts. The next fund arrives and does the same thing. Each cycle leaves a trail. Warranty orphans, parts supply gaps, workers retrained and cut, buyers holding depreciating assets built by entities that no longer exist. Fairline is the clearest example. Sunseeker is following the same path with different numbers. Princess is one soft order book away from the same conversation. The name on the brochure and the entity behind the name are 2 entirely separate things. The buyer who does not check the builder's financial calendar before signing the purchase agreement is not making an informed decision. He is making a bet that the name will outlast the ownership cycle. At Fairline, that bet has lost 6 times. Subscribe to Yachts and Boats for the forensic marine intelligence that protects your ownership position before the next cycle begins.